break us down, searching for light when the world spins round. But in those cracks, the purpose is born, a new way to live when the old is torn. It's more than a story, it's the rise from the fall, a place where your purpose starts to call. With Dr. Stephenson, wisdom takes flight, turning your pain into hope, into light. Collide with purpose, embrace the change. Every story's got a fire in its flame. Tune in, listen, find your way to take life's hardest hits and turn the page. In the podcast, the truth is found. Collide with purpose, let love abound. From heartbreak to strength, the lessons unfold. It's about how we rise, not the stories we've told. Guests with their journeys, sharing their light. In every collision, there's power in sight. It's more than a talk, it's the wisdom we gain through every struggle, through every pain. With conversations that open the door to purpose, to power, to so much more. Collide with purpose, embrace the change. Every story's got a fire in its flame. Tune in, listen, find your way to take life's hardest hits and turn the page. In the podcast, the truth is found. Collide with purpose, let love abound. So come as you are, with your scars and fears. This is the place where the truth appears. Turn your trials into stepping stones. Find the strength to claim your throne. Collide with purpose, embrace the change. Every story's got a fire in its flame. Tune in, listen, find your way to take life's hardest hits and turn the page. In the podcast, truth is found. Collide with purpose, let love abound. A collision with purpose, your journey starts here. In every conversation, we'll wipe away fear. Find your purpose, let your life ignite. With Dr. Stephenson, you'll find your light.
Good morning, good evening, and good night, wherever you're joining us from. Welcome. Welcome to Life-Changing Conversations to Inspire Actions, a space where dialogue is not designed to impress, but to transform. This is where we move beyond ideas and into intention, beyond awareness and into action. Today's conversation speaks directly to the silent crisis facing leaders, high achievers, and purpose-driven individuals everywhere, the tension between success and sustainability. We live in a world that rewards productivity, applauds sacrifice, but often ignores the cost paid by the human being behind the results. And yet, true leadership cannot thrive where the person is depleted. Our theme today is From Burnout to Balance, human-centered leadership for sustainable success. My guest is Dr. Tip Jones, a strategist, speaker, and self-care systems architect specializing in human-to-human leadership, mindfulness, and sustainable success. She's the founder of Tip Jones Global and the creator of the Mind Dance Method, a powerful trauma-informed approach that blends movement, mindfulness, and coaching to help high achievers move from burnout to clarity, confidence, and ease. Dr. Jones's work bridges healing and execution. It challenges the culture of overfunctioning and offers leaders a new way forward, one that honors the nervous system, restores clarity, and builds success that lasts. Today is not about slowing down for the sake of rest. It is about learning how to lead, live, and serve without losing yourself in the process. Let us begin. Dr. Jones, welcome. Welcome to Life Changing Conversation to Inspire Actions.
Thank you, Dr. Stephenson. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
It's awesome to have you here. How you doing?
I'm doing well today.
Doing well today?
Yes.
Is it snowing where you are? Did you have some cold weather?
Oh yes. It was it was quite the cyclone.
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta and we had some serious snow here. In fact, my grandchildren, they had a ball with it.
Yeah, my children had a ball with it too because I'm in North Carolina.
Oh, you
Yeah.
in North Carolina? I think you had it worse than we did here.
Yes.
I think so. I think so. So, Dr. Jones, we're going to have a conversation today. We're going to talk about burnout, from burnout to balance, human-centered leadership for sustainable success. But before we explore burnout, balance, and leadership, help our audience understand the person behind the work. Who is Dr. Tip Jones, and what life experiences mostly shape the way you lead, heal, and serve today?
Well, um, I am the daughter of Ramona Tanner and Letta Jones III, granddaughter of Ethel Tanner and Raymond Tanner. And those are the folks who taught me how to serve. Those are the folks who set the foundation for me. So I want to pay homage to them first. Um, as far as who I am beyond my lineage, I am someone who is high functioning, high achieving, suffering from depression and anxiety,
Mhm.
dealing with the woes of caring for family, the woes that come from trying to balance career with life
Mhm.
and entrepreneurship at that, and not always getting it right, learning as I go, being being flexible with myself,
Mhm.
and as I learn um, how to balance, there was some there was hurt along the way that required healing in the personal life, uh, and so that you know anything that happens to you, whether it's physical or emotional, it spills over into all the other areas of life: child rearing, marriage, job, etc. So I had some traumatizing experiences that caused me to take a step back and recognize um, really what I was made of and made for. And I had, while in the throes of it, um, my my boss actually said, "You are stronger than you think you are," and she said, I guarantee, you're stronger than you think you are." And 2 years later, I was able to go to her and say, "You know what? You're right. I'm certainly stronger." And the healing process that I went through was multifaceted, and it taught me so much that I said, "You know what? I got to show other people this. I got to
Mhm.
tell folks like there's a way to get back to or reclaim a baseline." Um, and as far as rest, I'll say, Dr. Stevenson, um, rest is revolutionary, but it doesn't mean that you stop. It just means that you take your respite and you keep on moving, and that's sort of how I've done it.
We rest so we can get up tomorrow and get going again, right?
That's right.
That's one of the reasons why we rest. But it's interesting how we never know how strong we can be until we're tested.
Yes.
Until we're tested. So, your personal journey brings us directly into the issue many leaders are silently facing. Dr. Jones, burnout is often misunderstood and misjudged. How do you personally define burnout, and why do you believe it is not a weakness but a signal?
Oh, why do I believe that it's not a weakness but a signal? Um, it is literally your nervous system letting you know um, it's had enough. but it's not the end. I want to make sure that I answer your questions directly. So, what was the first question?
The, is it's often misunderstood, burnout, and misjudged.
Yes,
So, how do you define burnout, and why is it that you believe it is not a weakness but a signal?
got it. Okay. Um, so, yeah, it is very much misunderstood, and I think it may be different for each individual just because we all have different capacities and we all have different signals that we've had it. And so burnout for Tip Jones um, is no longer having interest in the things that I'm accustomed to having interest in. That's often how it shows up. Burnout, um, it looks like a lack of laughter when I'm always laughing. Um, it shows up like wanting to sleep constantly. So my burnout experience, um, it starts really small, right? Like I'm just tired all the time, and I don't know what's wearing me down. Uh, in recent years, while I was going through um, a transition in my marriage, I'm now divorced. While I was going through that transition, or I'm sorry, before that took place, I felt constantly on. Like I could not be tuned off. I always had to be on. I always had to be ready to defend myself. I always had to um, be prepared for a backhanded compliment. I always had to be um, hyper vigilant, and I was exhausted. But I didn't know that I was experiencing exhaustion, except that I always wanted to sleep. So I was like, okay, and I don't sleep well. So the way burnout manifested itself um, resulted in depression, full blown, um, not wanting to get out of bed, just having had enough. That's how it showed up for me. And I think um, if we were more self aware, if we had the time to be introspective, and we have to make the time. But if we have a lot going on and we don't realize that we're experiencing micro traumas every day, whether those are microaggressions at work or at home, or maybe it's just that the financial situation is um, bearing down on you and it has changed and you're like, I don't know what to do. And so it's causing you to be emotionally dysregulated. Then those micro traumas start to build up, and eventually, it'll manifest in a way that is expressed outwardly. For me, I folded in, and so I collapsed.
Mhm. And and I believe, because I'm doing significant work with growth mindset, and I'm listening to you talk, and is this the signal as opposed to weakness, just like failing as opposed to, and how you take it on. And I think it's all sending a message to you. It's a signal that maybe you need to shift your focus and your approach. And so it's information.
Hmm.
Your burnout is information. It's telling you something. So you ought to pay attention to what it's telling you. And often when we receive feedback, we let it destroy us or topple us, as opposed to saying, there's something I need to learn here. And I think that's why that signal piece is so important where burnout is concerned. So I also, when we reframe burnout this way as a signal and not as a weakness, I think it challenges how success culture operates. So, Dr. Jones, why is it that some of the most disciplined, high achieving, and capable individuals often are the first to experience burnout?
Well, fast cars burn gas faster. um, like I think it was some researchers said that we only use a small percentage of our brain The average person only uses a small percentage of their brain. And those high achievers, those high functioning folks, they're using more than the average, and they need more time to power down. So that would be my answer to that question.
And I like that short answer: fast car. They use a lot of fuel, right? They burn gas, and if you're burning gas, it's very likely that you'll burn out much faster. And when burnout is ignored, because a lot of times we ignore it, don't we? Or we normalize it, the consequences don't stay hidden for long. So when burnout goes unaddressed, what begins to break down internal for leaders in their clarity, confidence, and decision making? How does it affect them with clarity, confidence, and their decision making?
Well, first of all, the decisions become reactive and less strategic, and the confidence is not true. It becomes performative, um, and that is unfortunate because these are very confident individuals, right? But they're no longer running on fuel; they're running on fumes,
Speak.
and they have the decision making um, being less strategic. It's like they don't have that capacity to focus long periods on how the who, what, when, where, why, and how. They're just make a decision. Yes, no, and then they suffer from regret, which is
Yeah.
unfortunately quite paralyzing.
Thank you for sharing that. Let's move to one of your specialization here: human to human, H to H leadership. Let's talk about that. You in your work around human to human leadership, what is lost when leadership becomes transactional instead of relational?
Trust,
Hmm.
um, emotional and psychological safety, creativity. Those are some of the things that get lost.
Yeah. Let's dig into trust a little bit. How important is trust in building relationship?
Oh man, you know, I just did a short video that I've been doing every couple of days, posting online on small talk, and I absolutely hate small talk. However, a colleague of mine commented that small talk is necessary when the trust hasn't been established yet with a person, right? So you talk about the weather, you talk about what's going on in the environment or the city, or that there was traffic, just mind melting topics, in my opinion. Um, and when you don't have trust, you don't have depth. You
Mm,
you don't have and God forbid you've had trust and it got lost.
mm.
Um, there is you're left with simply doing tasks, but you're not attached to the mission or the values that brought you two together, where you are in a leadership position. I'll
So
pause there.
quite difficult to lead others, the lack of trust.
Absolutely.
Because you must also, as a leader, trust your followers as well as they
Right.
trust you. It's another aspect of trust in leadership in relationships. It works both ways, right?
Right. It's
So
not.
yeah, now when leadership shifts back to being human centered, it changes the environment entirely. Everything changes. So how does human to human leadership fundamentally changes the way leaders communicate, manage conflict, and we just talk about build trust and build trust.
I'll start with accountability, which becomes clear and actually drives folks to do much better versus feeling like they've been punished. When you have that human to human leadership, uh, conflict is no longer explosive. It's informative. It's a signal,
Mhm.
right? It's feedback, and people don't fear the feedback because they trust the person that it's coming from.
Mm.
So when you have that empathetic relationship, as I do with many of my leaders and folks that I've led have had with me, um, there is seamless understanding. It's no longer just tip completing a task. It's tip the entire person who is having all of these other experiences beyond this moment, and all of that's considered at one time. And it's safe to bring that whole self, that whole experience um, to the relationship without fear that one's invisible or non-visible disabilities will show up, without fear that um, one more doctor's appointment, or the fact that I have to go to counseling at 3 o'clock. I know it's the middle of the workday, but you got to go to the dentist. I'm going to therapy, right? Do we have an understanding? Can we be honest with one another and it not be held against you later? Um, and that goes for rearing children too. Being able to be human to human with them. I have a teenager and I have a middle schooler. Um, one wants to debate me at every turn, and that's not the teenager, that's the middle schooler. um, and we have real conversations that reflect that he trusts me not to smack his hand because he challenges me.
Yeah,
It has
so
to be the human to human connection.
it's not just in the workplace; it's also at home, and
Yes.
it's not only the message; it's who's delivering the message as well.
Well, you know what, Dr. Stevenson? Um, I've often said when someone delivers a message, no matter how harsh, find the meaning in the message despite the messenger. So there was my father is very calm spoken, not soft spoken, but very calm spoken. And he has a speech impediment. But when he's really delivering a message, he doesn't stutter at
Mm.
all. Now, I didn't grow up with my father. So at around 2021, I wasn't really feeling any advice he was giving me on life. I'm like, you missed out on everything. You don't get to tell me what to do, right? Um, However, he wasn't stuttering this time, and he was speaking truth to me. And what he told me was I would speak in front of thousands of people and bless them with my words. I was like, yeah, whatever, man. You don't know me. You don't know nothing. Um, it would be 12 years later, I would stand in the San Jose Convention Center and speak to 10,000 people and inspire them.
Oh,
Um, it wasn't just my show, by the way, but I was one of the presenters. And I said, oh my God, had I listened, I
mm.
would have manifested this and anticipated it. But I was so turned off by the messenger, I didn't get the message.
Mm.
So I kind of I disagree that it's also the messenger. We have to become um, what's a good word? Anesthetized um, of our feelings about the messenger when, frankly, God will use anybody to get a message across.
Yeah, they the question of the messenger, there's that saying, never judge a book by its cover.
That's right.
It's so important, but we live in a place and time, in a world where we look at who's talking to us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's making a huge difference. And we are more open to accept information that might not be accurate if it's coming from someone we like.
Right.
Right.
Like, trust but verify.
So, yeah, so that's it. That is the story. That is the situation with that, but when leaders begin showing up differently, the culture around them also shows up differently as well. So, Dr. Jones, when empathy and presence become leadership skills rather than optional traits, what shifts do you personally see inside teams and organizations that you work?
Oh man. I will say it this way. Within the organization that I work for, um, I have often been heard saying, I do hard work, but it's never hard to come to work. The reason for this is because of those factors that you just mentioned. And the way that shows up, that empathy shows up, how it goes beyond skill and it permeates the culture, is that I get to work for a company um, that is mission driven and really about that mission, aligned with my personal values. I get to work with people that I like, and I also get to do work that invigorates me and challenges me. That's how I think um, an organization should be spoken about when empathy is visible and felt.
That empathy thing is so important. That concept. It's not just a word, right? It's more of a
Right.
concept in more of a way, right? So let's talk a little bit about self-care
Okay.
and self-care habits, right? So as you know, leadership sustainability often comes down to how leaders care for themselves. We're talking about burnout here, right? So many leaders say they practice self-care yet still feel depleted. What is the difference between self-care habits and what you would consider self-care systems?
So habits may not survive pressure, but systems do. So if on a daily basis you are committed to quality sleep, not one-off baths, you're committed to stretching or reading a devotional, or frankly, just reading an affirmation that flashes on your phone every morning at 6 a.m. is part of your system. If you pray every morning and every evening, that's part of your system. Versus waiting to go get a haircut, which is once every week or 2 weeks, depending on what you got going on. Or you're waiting for a vacation. Those are those are habits that you can build over time. It's like I always go on spring break, I always go on vacation. Every Christmas I go away someplace and I put up a white tree instead of a green tree. That's great. That's not really systematic and it's not going to sustain you through the ups and downs of life. It's too intermittent.
It's not organized enough to be considered a system.
Right.
Not organized enough. So once we have a better understanding of the difference between self-care systems and self-care habits, I believe that the picture of sustainability becomes much clearer. So, Dr. Jones, as a self-care systems architect, what does a truly sustainable life look like for someone carrying responsibility, visibility, and pressure, high pressure?
I really love this question, by the way. uh, it looks like a life of ease. It doesn't mean that everything is easy, but you built a life that honors your boundaries. You built a life where your schedule respects recovery and rest, that your work aligns with your personal mission and your values, and frankly, your capacity. You know when to shut it off. You know when it's family time, and you don't let anything interrupt that. You're no longer running like a chicken with your head cut off. You are literally respecting yourself. And that's how you would build a life of ease.
And, I grew up with that saying that running around like, chicken, heads cut off, right? What a place to be. What a place to be. Now, let's talk a little bit more about sustainability, because we know that's not something that happened by accident, right?
Mhm.
Why is it that structure rather than motivation determine whether healing, rest, and balance actually is lasting?
Oh man. So I'm struggling with this right now, full transparency.
Mhm.
Um, Specifically around the body, like getting in the gym, daily exercise, daily movement. Um, because I was once relying on motivation, which is emotional. I wasn't relying on structure, which in fact is behavioral, right? I I, I did not have the consistency and the diligence. So if you rely on motivation, again, the word intermittent comes up. Motivation wanes. But if you have that structure, as I have, my fiance is every morning he has the same routine, the same one. It never fails, and it includes going to the gym, whether that's in his house or that's going to an actual external gym. And it's fascinating that he could keep this up no matter how he's feeling, right? And I guess I have that same type of structure with how I eat, because I'll eat the same thing every day without issue because I want the same result. So whether I'm motivated to eat it or not, I'm going to. But I haven't been able to really cross that bridge with the daily exercise. So um, what I've done, just as a help to those who are watching and listening, um, is I'm using Atomic Habits, that book that we know well, um, and I made the habit so small
Mhm.
that it's irresistible to me, and that is simply do one squat, one, show up and do one, and I did it for 31 straight days. But I didn't just do one, of course. I did like six, and then I was doing like 16, and then I was doing 20, and I was like, oh my God, I'm building a habit. Right? I'm building structure into my life. Um, so no longer needing to be motivated and hyped up to get it
Mhm.
done.
Motivation is as important as it is. It's not lasting, is it? It's not, and it's not meant to be, right? It's not meant to
No.
be. But I like the you said you make it irresistible, and that is what keeps you going back, keep you going back, keep you going back, and that's so important. I think it's a good time to take a quick break.
Okay.
You're watching life changing conversations to inspire actions. And my guest today is Dr. Tip Jones. And we're talking about from burnout to balance, human centered leadership for sustainable success. So let's take a quick break and then we'll come right back.
I'm a boy kid, I'm a boy kid. I'm a boy kid, I'm a boy kid. I
I wake up in the morning and I praise the Lord. I thank Him for His protection, and I walk in His steps, declaring that today's provision is set up for me. I love God and I love my friends. Yeah, I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid. I put on my armor and I read His word, blessing come out of my mouth. Cause I know to whom I belong. I am bold for Christ, Holy Spirit dwelling within me, carrying His presence wherever He sends me. I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid. Loving others as He told me to pray for healing, miracles to see, knowing my identity in Christ, He is in me. I am a bold kid, He loves me, standing firm on His word, proclaiming everything I heard, not afraid because He is with me. Be bold. I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid. Put on my armor and I read His word, blessing come out of my mouth. Because I know to whom I belong. I am bold for Christ, Holy Spirit dwelling within me, carrying His presence wherever He sends me. I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid.
All right, welcome back to Life-Changing Conversations to Inspire Actions. Today, I'm having a conversation with Dr. Tip Jones, and we're talking about From Burnout to Balance, Human-Centered Leadership for Sustainable Success. Dr. Jones, we're going to talk about trauma, mindfulness, and the nervous system. You know, much of what drives burnout is not work overload, but what the body has been holding on to. So, unprocessed trauma often hides behind productivity. How does trauma quietly show up in leadership behaviors and relationships?
Oh, it shows up as control freaks.
Oops.
It shows up in people pleasing,
Mm.
perfectionism, emotional detachment, not caring. It looks like high standards when it's really chronic tension.
Mm. It looks like high standards, but it's what you say, it's craving attention, requiring
It's
attention.
chronic tension. Hmm.
Wow. I see that in a number of people, and as you're talking, I'm hoping that is not my case. Because if that is so, that's something we need to work on. But because that is so common in people.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Constantly moving the goalposts, chasing that goalpost. Um,
Mm.
but enough is never enough. So that keeps you tense, always on that high alert, no rest. That's that's not good. It's not good for the nervous system.
Let me just ask you, how did you get into this business? Just curious. How did you get into this business? What
So
what brought you into it, and what is keeping you there?
um, having my own traumatic experiences, dealing with suicidal ideation, um, and seeking help for it, being exposed to dialectical behavioral therapy. Um, although I don't have a desire to become a clinician, I still wanted to embody many of the principles that I learned around emotional regulation and share them with others, because I see us um, high performers doing great things, and then, as I mentioned earlier, collapsing. And I don't. It's not a physical, visible collapse. It's a collapse on the inside. Um, we no longer know or are clear on why we're doing what we're doing. We've just been going at a fast pace for so long. It just became normal. We're on autopilot. Um, so I wanted to calm myself So I studied mindfulness first, and I was introduced to mindfulness many, many years um, before my traumatic experience just 2 years ago. But it didn't hit home until I actually had to like tune in and start doing the deep breathing exercises, get really um, present in the moment. Um, and I just want to ensure that people that I come in contact with, that I'm blessed to come in contact with, have the opportunity to also be mindful, be still, be present, um, and regulate their emotions because they have the capacity, they have the capability to do it. Sometimes you just haven't tapped in so long, you've forgotten. So that's why I've gotten into it.
You know, that you brought mindfulness into the conversation. I think it's many individuals use the word mindfulness, and some view it as passive or soft. But
Mhm.
for to add clarity and to define it, how would you define mindfulness in a way that produces strength and effectiveness?
Oh, mindfulness shows up like discernment. It shows up like boundaries and decision making. It presents itself in direct eye contact. It presents itself in not being easily distracted, or as First Lady Michelle Obama did in her documentary Becoming, she had one focus every time someone came for her to sign the book.
Mhm.
Uh, she was completely present with that individual. She didn't look to the side. She stayed right there. If we stay right there, even in our tasks day to day, um, by using the Pomodoro effect, where you're onto something for like 20 minutes and then you take a break, like but deep work in that moment. Imagine if we did that in our relationships. We actually became mindful and attentive with that individual in that very moment for 20 minutes. It was just all them. It doesn't take a lot of time. Frankly, I did it recently with my youngest son. He's 9 years old, and he said, "Mommy, can you come and build a snowman with me?" And I'm thinking, "Oh my God, how long is this going to take? I got to work, right?" So we go outside, and I decided to leave my phone behind so I wouldn't be distracted. And frankly, he wanted to build a snowman, have a snow fight, um, and break huge lumps of ice on his head just for fun. It took 25 minutes for all of it to happen. And I was fully present, taking pictures of the boy, doing video with the boy, doing a snow fight and everything. And that's all he needed. And then he wanted to go to his room and have his alone time. It
Mm.
filled the entire afternoon, just those 20 minutes. So I define mindfulness as capacity building and boundary setting.
Imagine if we could take 20 minutes out of 24 hours and allocate it for us, to us. Mm, what a difference that would make. All right, so let's talk about nervous system itself. What role does nervous system regulation play in emotional resilience, confidence, and long-term relation stamina?
Well, a regulated nervous system allows for creativity, memory, empathy. It makes room for confidence. A dysregulated nervous system creates urgency, weakness, health issues, fear based decisions, and burnout cycles.
And we're back to that burnout place, right? And
Yeah.
that is the conversation today, the burnout. So we're going to move to something that you own. the mind dance method. We're going to talk about that now. What I would like you to do is bring us into that place, the mind dance method. Instead of asking a specific question, just talk to me about
So most systems target the mind and ignore the body, or they target the body and ignore the mind. With mind dance, I wanted to connect the two. I know that it's not revolutionary by itself, but I recognize that trauma lives in the body. So you have practitioners who will focus on moving your hips, for instance, stretching your hips because certain types of trauma sit there, but they don't have the knowledge or the experience, maybe, to share with you how that is reflected in your thoughts and your actions from day to day. The mind dance method um, integrates breath, movement, awareness, and strategy so that the transformation isn't just intellectual, but it's a lived experience.
You know, I'm very intrigued by the mind dance method. And do you offer, how do you offer this for individuals to participate and to become involved with this approach?
Thanks for asking that. It is in its early stages, so I can only speak to what it will do, not what it has done yet.
Okay.
So what it will be is a licensed method where practitioners of different kinds, whether they are life coaches, yoga teachers, um, can go ahead and adopt this methodology as an overlay to what they're already providing, so that they have a holistic approach to help other humans. Um, if I was the practitioner specifically, and you were my client, for instance, um, we would go through a series of exercises, both physical and mindful, for you to experience the mind dance method.
Right. So we're looking to hear more about that. We're looking to hear more as you continue to develop it and put it out there, because I believe it's something that is going to make a huge difference, be very impactful. Now, let us talk a little bit about redefining success and responsibility. As leaders heal and stabilize, their definition of success often changes. So, Dr. Jones, many people succeed outwardly while losing themselves inwardly. How do you help leaders redefine success to include peace, clarity, and longevity?
Life of ease. Life of ease. When you wake up in the morning, is your day filled with stress? The question for you to answer for yourself is why? And then how can you remove the stress? Or how can you manage it? How can you effectively show up and no longer be stressed by things that used to stress you out? So one of the areas that I had to work on um, was dealing with the ex-spouse. Uh, we have children together, and because of what took place that led to the divorce, I was very emotionally dysregulated whenever I had to correspond. But I was also in control of that stress. So how am I going to mitigate it? Right? So whether that's through therapy, through my yoga practice, through prayer, I had to start implementing ways to manage that stress because it's not going anywhere, but it doesn't have to stress me out forever. So I wanted to have a life of ease, and this was going to be a part of my life. It looks very different than it once did. Um, and there's no shortage of opportunities to want to spaz out. However, uh, my approach and how I show up uh, is reflected in the life of ease that I desire. Frankly, if how you are being successful is costing you your identity, it's costing you your health, um, it's costing you relationships, that's not success. That means it's extracting from your life.
Mm.
When you get, I'm sorry, I was just going to say, one of the things that I've shared in the different events that I've hosted over the years is at the end of your life, whether that's in 5 years or in 50, right? Will that self, that version of yourself, look back and tell you to stop doing the things that you've been doing or tell you to keep doing it
Mm.
in order to protect them at 90, 100 years old? And that's something that I look into, look into introspectively.
You
So that's
know,
my
and introspectively is so important because you have been very introspective. You have utilized, just from your experiences and having to combat certain things, you've learned a lot, and you've applied those things that you've learned into and add into your toolbox,
that's right.
and that's jumping out clearly to me. And I think that's a lesson. How important is that? What do you have to offer it as advice and counsel to anyone who will be listening to us? Tell them how important that is.
Oh man, it's as important as breathing. It is essential to developing that life of ease when the world around you, that macro environment, is tumultuous and filled with turmoil. When the things that you can't control are innumerable, but the one thing that you can control is how you take it in and how you manage that stress.
You know, long time ago, I learned that stress is going to be there. It's how you manage it, right?
Yep.
Mitigation, you know, how you manage stress. So we're drawing down on time, but responsibility is important, and not just to results, but to people as well. So, Dr. Jones, what responsibility do leaders have to model balance, emotional awareness, and self care for those they lead?
Oh man, it's everything. So the leader models whether burnout is acceptable or not. So if they are taking care of themselves, if they are prioritizing uh, their time off, right, and making sure that they have rest, then those who report to them, those who follow them, will find a way to do the same for themselves. So regulated leaders, they normalize sustainability.
Mhm. They normalize sustainability. Now, you're watching life changing conversations to inspire actions. And today, I have as my guest, and she's inspiring actions, is Dr. Pip Jones. And we're talking about from burnout to balance, human centered leadership for sustainable action. So, Dr. Jones, this part of our conversation is what I call the quick fire question, right? I'm going to ask you three questions, and I just want you to give me one word. All right? It's one word in form of a response. So let me line up my questions here so I can get them straight, get them right for you. All right. So burnout or balance? Which one tells the truth faster?
Burnout,
You want to tell us why?
because it's so obvious. It doesn't whisper.
Okay. Discipline or compassion? Which
Compassion.
sustains leadership long?
Compassion.
Mhm. That's an interesting one. One word that defines this season of your work. One word.
Ease.
Say that again for me, louder.
Ease.
Mm. And before we go, and before you offer a closing argument, I'd like you to look into the camera as close as you can get. And I want you to focus on one person, say their name, only one, and say thank you to them for the role they play in who you are today. Just one person.
Mommy, thank you for what you have done to lead me and show me what it takes to be a real, compassionate, focused, kind woman. And happy birthday,
Oh, happy birthday, mommy. What's her name? What's mommy's name?
Raymona.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Bless her up. Bless her up big for what she's done and what she did. Because look at what she did and who she influenced. And now all those folks that you're influencing is all because the result of her commitment, her
That's right.
compassion. So we thank her for that. All right. So as we get ready to draw down and close, Dr. Jones, is there anything else you'd like to say or add that maybe I didn't ask you a question, but you want to share something with us?
Sure. Here in Charlotte, North Carolina, on March 1st, I will have my one woman talk. And usually I host a really big event and it's all day long. This is 1 hour from 5 to 6. And it is for the purpose of pressing in. You can learn more at chipjones.com and get tickets for my one woman talk. Lastly, uh, my favorite quote is by Nelson Mandela, and I hope that it resonates with you. And that is, it always seems impossible until it's done. Thank
Mm,
you.
thank you. It always seems impossible until it's done. And that is so true. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing that. All right. So as we close today's conversation, here is the truth I want every listener to carry with them. Burnout is not a badge of honor. It is a message. It is the body, the mind, and the spirit asking for alignment, not escape. What you heard today is not permission to abandon excellence. It is an invitation to redefine it. Sustainable success is not built on exhaustion. True leadership is not proven by self neglect, and balance is not weakness, it is wisdom. Dr. Tip Jones, thank you for your clarity, your courage, and your commitment to human centered leadership. Thank you for mindfulness that can be practical and that leaders do not have to sacrifice their well being to serve at high level. For everyone watching, this is your moment to pause, not to retreat, but to recalibrate. And ask yourself, what would change if I led my life with the same care I give to my responsibilities? No, transformation does not begin with doing more. It begins with choosing differently. I am Dr. Laxley, and this has been life-changing conversation to inspire actions. Until next time, lead with intention, with honor, and with your humanity, and take action that sustains you. Blessings always.